Fragments. Welcome to the second and final review of the evening, Castle of No Escape 2. This was given to us by, and we're bringing this up because we do not know how to pronounce your name.
I'm about 80% sure it's Eidolon.
Yeah. If that's correct, let us know. We are pretty sure that the developer is going to listen to this, and the publisher as well, because they kind of requested it. Like they liked our previous review so much that not only did they give us the opportunity to review this game, but also they have given us an additional 10 codes to give out. We haven't given them out yet because we hadn't gotten around to reviewing this game because other games had priority in the queue. And this is the first place we could put it, given everything else, because the game is actually about 2 years old now. So that's kind of why it got put by the wayside, because we tend to review the games that are, recently released first. So with that all in mind, we will start giving out Castle of No Escape Tubes code starting this Wednesday. That's our announcement on that front.
Yeah, I'll try and test the Discord bot this week. So keep an eye out on that.
Indeed, and we'll probably re-announce this on social media and hopefully the website if it decides to fucking work. Yeah, our website's not working properly again. I think it's because I updated to the latest version of WordPress, and sometimes it doesn't like that, and it freezes the back end. Not the first time.
And Mac, who is our associate, other webmaster guy, has other things on his plate right now.
Yeah, it's like he's pretty incommunicado. So the website will get fixed. It's just a matter of when. It's like I'm afraid of going too far into it in case I break something, even because I'm not the one who set the website up. Mac is, and like there are certain kludges in there that if they are fucked around with, our website will go bye-bye, like updating Comic Press.
Yes, and that's bad.
So, anyway, all that aside, Castle of No Escape 2 is a retro-styled roguelike.
Yes, semi-roguelike.
Yeah.
It is a very randomly generated dungeon crawler. There are apparently 6 cubed rooms in this castle, and they are pretty much completely randomly arranged, including stairs and warps to wherever.
Right. And they consist of, it's all grid based, so you're dealing with a lot of squares here. Perfect square.
Pretty Zelda-ish in terms of like the original one, in terms of aesthetic and mobility.
Yeah, I mean the aesthetic really screams NES in terms of its visual presentation. In terms of its audio presentation, it's actually got a soundtrack you wouldn't expect. It's using I hesitate to say real instruments, but it doesn't sound 8-bit most of the time.
It does sound metal-ish, but
yeah, it's got a lot of metal in it, a lot of rock and guitars, but not a lot of bleep bloops, not a lot of chip tunes here. Worth considering if you are looking to get the soundtrack, because you might find that the audio experience will clash with the aesthetics, because you're probably expecting something chiptune-y.
Yeah, I didn't find it that jarring, but it was a little bit unusual. Yeah. Honestly, the thing I found more jarring was the object physics on the boxes in a lot of rooms, because the way they move, and also the way coins follow you around once you get close to them, is a little bit on 8-bit-ish.
Yeah, apparently the visual miscues like that are intentional. It's all about replicating the 8-bit aesthetic. Although I'm struggling to come up with a game that actually did the shaking sprites thing like that.
Yeah, and you can turn the sprite. You can turn sprite flickering off.
Yes.
Recommended. And I think you can turn scan lines on, but they default to off. So yeah, the story of this game is that there is a castle in which there is an evil overlord type monster, and the only thing that can defeat him is an artifact that was broken into 5 pieces. So your 3 adventurers go into the castle to get the 5 pieces of the artifact and defeat the bad guy. As you do that, there are a whole bunch of things there are like 3 other possible adventures that you can find if you beat like mini bosses or something. I don't know. I never found any of them.
They are the fallen heroes. So if you free them from the curse, you'll be able to play as them.
Is that what those guys in robes with the things around them are? Or
no.
Okay, I wasn't sure about that.
Yeah, you know when you run into them.
Yeah, it's like, so basically, if you get free the other 3, you will have 6 characters to choose from. Like, I only unlocked one of the characters because that was the only one I was able to beat. I actually didn't encounter like the Enchantress or whatever. I'm like counted the Thief a few times, but he was fucking bullshit because he can recharge. He can recharge his health.
He can.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that must be his only skill then.
No. He's very fast.
Yeah, he'll blitz you right immediately if you don't move.
Well, no, yeah, but that's I mean, like that's his skill slot is that instead of having like a stronger projectile.
Probably, like the bomber, I think he's called. He's kind of a reskin of the knight. He kind of sucks, and I mean that as a boss encounter. Took me a few tries, but I managed to beat him without getting a hit. Like he's honestly kind of on the easy side of things. But getting back to your default characters, the knight, the lizard man, I think. And the wolf.
I think she's called the Huntress, and I forget what the other guy's called.
Yeah.
They each have a name they each have like a class name and then a race.
Right. The point of order is they are actually 3 different playstyles. 3 very different playstyles at that.
Yeah, Petty Fan's currently playing as the warrior who has a melee spear that that goes a pretty long distance, but if you don't wait until the meter over his head recharges after using it, it will be weaker and also not go far at all.
Yeah, the Huntress operates about the opposite.
Yeah, she has a bow which she has to charge up to shoot.
So you have to charge up to 100%.
And they both have their special skill for both of them is pretty much their basic attack only fully charged without having to charge it, but it costs green energy. Yeah.
Meanwhile, the wolf, he's
the weirdest one.
Yeah.
He is the super glass cannon mage. As Petty Fan is showing off, his base weapon is a fireball that shoots randomly in one of 3 directions.
Yeah.
And his skill is all 3 of those at once.
Yeah, it's like he's the one for the he's basically hard mode because his projectiles you cannot control them.
I think he also has less health than some of the other characters, but I think he might have more energy.
I think he has the most health.
No, he has the least. The warrior has more health than him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the characters on the selection screen are ranked in speed, defense, and damage and attack, but I'm not sure what they count for though, like what they're taking into account for like a damage.
No, well, it's like
score.
Damage is only done 1 bar at a time, no matter what the enemy.
Right. So yeah, I guess what I mean is I don't know when they're scoring the character saying Wolfman has 3 stars in attack and Huntress only has 1 star in attack. Is it because the Huntress's attack has to charge up to be used?
That's probably it, because the Huntress's attack is actually pretty powerful when charged.
Mm-hmm.
Like
it is.
More powerful than other attacks actually. Like I could one-shot ghosts and other creatures that took multiple hits to other characters. But
plus, obviously, she has the advantage of range.
Well, she also, but the trade-off is she has to charge her shots.
Yeah.
At least if
you don't charge it like at least 30%, it literally does not hit at all.
Yeah. Well, also worth noting is you can get more powerful. Like with each part of the true sword, that's the blue chunks of sword that you find.
And you can't tell whether they're true or false until you pick them up.
Or you get the requisite crystal.
Right. You normally can't tell is what I meant.
But yeah, it's like the true sword will make you more powerful up to the point where you get the fully upgraded sword.
You can also get armor that gives you some extra
additional
temporary fake health. Yeah. Like you can't heal it, but it.
Well, there are two kinds of armor points. There are shield points, which are just fixed, however many they give you, and there are armor points.
Oh, okay.
Armor, you can go to a blacksmithing anvil, and you can upgrade that. You can upgrade your health in the form of the shield slots, and you can refill those by getting the little triangle things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and you can also increase your magic and your speed via armor
and boots and stuff. Yeah.
Well, the armor is permanent, provided you keep it around. You can sell the armor off. Don't know why you would do that. I did that.
If you really needed money to buy something in a shop, but I haven't seen any shops with anything more valuable than health and energy refills.
Yeah, that's about the extent of it. The other thing is gambling, like, and there. It is worth noting there is also the cursed jester's costume, which is really fucking funny.
I got one piece of that once.
Yeah, because there's the non-stop fucking cackling, and I couldn't figure out how to get rid of it.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a way, I just couldn't figure it out. Like, thankfully that shit you can destroy. I'm like, and this being a roguelike, this guy... in terms of difficulty, this is actually not that difficult in pertinence to the genre.
I mean, you'll die a lot, but you're going to die a lot. But it's you're probably not going to die like in the first room unless you like accidentally warp to the bottom of floor 6 and get rammed in an ambush room.
That's not like that's happened to me at all.
Anyway,
time.
Yeah, what really makes this game difficult is the lack of invincibility frames.
Indeed.
So enemies can take, a good chunk of health in a few seconds, or traps. They can use spiked floors and bubbles. That happened to me on multiple occasions.
Yeah, the bubbles bounce you off in a kind of awkward way. They are destructible, but...
Yeah. I suppose my biggest problem with this game is one of conveyance. It's not really immediately apparent what you need to do.
Or, like, what several of the things you pick up do like, stuff happens that you won't even know exactly what happened until you, like, take a second to, like, check stuff.
To wit, I don't know how to beat the game. Like,
and there's also the pause screen is a blank screen. There's no, like, menu screen.
Yeah. I mean, like, my current run, I have gotten all of the items. I've gotten the true sword. I've defeated the mini boss that's contained within. I have cleared out every room, explored every room, and I'm not, like, in fact, the achievement I got is, okay, what's next, or whatever. And that's a good question, because I see via other achievements there is an ending to this game. Probably a final boss, but I do not know how to unlock that. It's possibly something to do with the rituals, maybe something to do with one of the demon face rooms. I don't exactly know. Like, this game has not conveyed that, and I do not know where the conveyance in which I would know lies. So that's a return to the old days that was not appreciated. Other issues, controller support is wonky at best. In fact, I
got it working pretty easily with an Xbox One controller, but I couldn't change what the buttons were mapped to without using a keyboard and mouse also, or with just a keyboard actually, and also the default mappings were not very good.
Yeah. Well, it is worth noting that even the Steam page here has it as partial controller support.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't a game that you're going to suffer horribly playing keyboard and mouse unless you suffer horribly playing anything keyboard and mouse like I do.
That being said, I got it to work well enough with my Xbox One controller. Like, I got used to it, but like playing the Huntress, for example, very, very slidey.
Yeah, I actually mapped my movement controls to my D-pad instead of my analog stick because you can't have it mapped to both. And right. I found the D-pad to be better.
Yeah, same.
Well, that's not a surprise since, it's a 2D.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you do have like analog pretty much mobility, but it's very good to be able to make yourself move only in a perfectly straight line, especially considering that ice is a thing and those bouncy bubbles are a thing.
Mm-hmm. And those bouncy bubbles can appear on ice.
Yes. Indeed. Or next to floor spikes or on floor spikes.
Between floor spikes.
Yeah. Also worth noting, this game has a PAL mode.
Yeah, you can slow down the frame rate.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to make the game a little easier, but also make the music sound more sinister.
Yeah. And the full dimensions of this game is 6x6x6, so 216 rooms.
Yeah, it's a cube that is 6 rooms on the side. Mm-hmm. As you can tell, if you've been watching the map in the corner as Petty Fan is playing, this does not necessarily mean that the boundaries of the building are on the boundaries of the map. You can very frequently have things wrap around to the other side.
Yeah. It's deeper than you would expect, in the sense that passages are just certain ways.
And there are some rooms that I'm pretty sure you can only get to by teleportation.
I did not encounter that.
Well, I've definitely encountered some rooms that are... Well, I guess it could have been stairs down from the level above.
Possible.
It was a corner room that could not be accessed from north, east, or it was a southwest corner that could not be accessed from north, east, or below.
Yeah. So
there are also these crystal ball thingies that tell you cryptic series of numbers, which apparently indicate what floors have certain items on them, but it's very cryptic because this game, like we said, has some issues with conveyance.
Right. Another good example is the statues. These are things that can imbue either positive or negative effects, and some of, it's like, and given their description, it's kind of hard to figure out what they are at first. For example, the hover boots ability, or
hover boots lets you walk over water and magma, I think.
Yes, though not spikes.
Yeah, spikes still hurt you.
Yeah.
But you can walk over spikes safely anyway, as long as you move quickly.
Yes. A point of order is you might not understand what that means until it happens.
Yeah, and unlike... Okay, I guess the elephant in my room when I was dealing with this game is there's a lot about this game that reminds me of The Binding of Isaac. But The Binding of Isaac has much better conveyance. Like, even when there's a mystery power-up or something, once you've used it, it tells you what it did, and there's a menu you can go in to see what you currently have. The only menu in this game is the icons that are on the side of the screen, and there's not really any words that tell you, like, oh, you should, you've got such and such a power-up, it gives you such and such. And, yeah. So... I'm not saying that this game does some things differently. It's clearly not trying to be exactly the same, but I kept running into, this reminds me of this, and in that game it was this way.
I suppose that could not be helped.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
I do like that the floors are interconnected in this game.
Right.
Instead of just being stage-based, basically.
And anyway, so now we come to price. And this game clocks in at a normal price of $10 on Steam. I'm like, I'd say that's about the highest I could go.
Yeah, it depends how into this you are.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't say any higher than that. It does have a decent amount of content, I think, just it doesn't really tell you what all the content is that well.
Yeah. It has a decent amount of content, but if I'm measuring it in terms of, like, the roguelike genre, it's on the smaller side of things.
Uh-huh.
You know.
Oh, yeah, and the books are usually curses. They're usually a specific curse, so you should probably only pick up books if you either have a worse curse...
Or the blue flame.
Or if you have the blue flame, which protects you from a curse once.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, the books do still have interesting tidbits of text on the bottom of the screen, but yeah.
Yeah, like the book that just gave me, I lost my ability to attack.
Yeah. Oh, and the stores always say that you buy things with Z or X, and I had a hard time figuring out what that was mapped to on my controller.
Yeah, so. Again, that's with partial controller support.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think that Castle Escape 2 is only available on Steam currently, and if I'm remembering correctly, I think it's Windows only. Yeah, I'm not seeing... Yeah, I'm only seeing the Windows logo here. Not sure if there are any plans to bring this to other platforms at this point in time. I'm sure that's one of those things that the developer or publisher will email us about after they get done watching this. You know, ultimately, my purchase recommendation would probably wait for a sale.
Unless you're real itching for another, like, old school roguelike. Because this will scratch that itch.
Yeah, this isn't a bad game or anything. It's just, you know, a little bit of an acquired taste and know what you're getting into.
Yeah. Like I said,
it's definitely a better deal on a 30 to 50% off sale.
Yeah. I mean, I can't say I didn't get my time's worth in it since I put about 12 hours, which is actually more than I usually put in with a roguelike, because honestly, I find the hyper difficulty of most roguelikes to be a very, very big turnoff. Like, I know that's part of the genre, but it's like the whole get curb stomped, start over thing has limited appeal with me personally. I guess it depends on the kind of game we're talking about, since roguelikes are really more a play style than a genre at this point. Or, how it's like the roguelike or roguelite or roguelike light. We've talked about this shit before, but I mean, the genre has just mutated into the weirdest fucking places. See our review of like Tumbleseed for that. Like,
still can't believe that's a game that exists.
Yeah, it's like Tumbleseed is just like the ultimate weird evolution of the roguelike genre. But this game is fairly conventional, real-time roguelike adventure game stuff.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I'd almost call it roguelike comfort food if it was turn-based. Because that's kind of one of the real terminologies for a actual like roguelite. Once again, I get these terms confused because it's all branched out and it's all blurry now. Like figuring out what a roguelike was much simpler because it was like Rogue.
Like gasp.
Yeah. Now the term has very little meaning outside of permadeath and randomization. That's really kind of the two biggest determinators of what a rogue what a rogue-ish thing is these days. The third kind of is the high amount of difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
But once again, not always. Anyway, as in terms of the grand spectrum of roguelikes, this one's okay. Solid. Maybe a bit unspectacular. But you won't go wrong if you purchase this, even at full price.
Mm-hmm.
So any final comments about Castle of No Escape here? Castle of No Escape 2?
I guess the only real thing is I wish it had better conveyance on what you're doing.
Same.
Well, maybe something for Castle of No Escape 3, should that become a thing.
And I get that like a lot of old games didn't have a whole lot of space to have menus pop up and tell you stuff, but just like a pause game that like gave you a pause menu that like gave you a summary of what you currently had equipped would be really nice.
Yeah. This goes back to my ranting about mapping shit on graph paper.
Also another big thing is the windowed mode.
Oh yeah, this game opens
right.
by default in full screen with a really kind of awkward proportion.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to put it to windowed, you have to, I guess, Alt Enter while you're playing, and also when you do that, it goes down to like 2 pixels per pixel.
So that's being generous, but yeah.
So it's very small.
So it can be changed via pressing Alt 1, 2, or 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I know
so you don't actually have to mess around with the game's INI file to change that. But still, it would be nice if that was just in the options menu to like have full screen yes, no, size 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, not everybody's going to think of doing that.
Yeah. Like, I knew Alt Enter was a command for full screen, but I had no idea about the Alt 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah.
And this is coming from the computer nerd in the group.
Alright. Anyway, so that should... any other statements?
Not really.
Alright, so that should about do it for this review. So the week ahead. Let me see here. Nothing slated for Tuesday. On Wednesday, January 23rd, we will be having Russell Williams of Hollow Spark Games. They are a Seattle outfit, apparently about 25 people strong, or 35. Currently, they are working on a game called Earthfall, or rather, the first expansion pack for Earthfall. This is a co-op shooter, FPS type, I believe. Like, I haven't had a huge chance to really look into the details of this, mainly because it's been kind of touch and go until like Friday that we would even have the guest here. It's like peek behind the curtain stuff. You know, I don't really do the deep research until I make sure we have the guest here, so you know my time's not wasted. And that's mostly assured. Just got to work out like the Skype contact stuff on Monday. So it's happening, which is thankful given how rough the past couple of weeks have been in terms of guest bookings. It happens. And yeah, that's the schedule for this week. So until Wednesday, I wish you good gaming.